Rewind a little bit and talk about your upbringing in baseball, getting into the big leagues. As much as I thought I knew your story, there's always a little bit more to learn. And for me, just looking even just at your basic baseball reference record page today, and this week preparing for this interview, tell us about getting drafted and a little bit about that experience and then making it into the major leagues.
Yeah, so basically, I went to the University of Florida. After my junior year, I was all SEC, all American, everything like that, and did not get drafted. And so went back for my senior year, and basically repeated the same thing. But you had no idea if you were going to be drafted or not. And so, I actually got an opportunity because Nick Belmonte was running the independent leagues. He called me up. He's like, hey, he was our announcer for University of Florida baseball. He's like, hey, if you want, you can come work out with an independent league team. If you don't get drafted, then you can just stay here and play. I actually told him no. I said, if I'm not good enough to get drafted, I need to go to law school because that's what I was preparing my degree in. And I thanked him for the opportunity. And so I had no idea. So the day that the draft came along, I went about it. I did my workout at University of Florida, came back home, and all of a sudden, I walk in the house and the phone's ringing. And it was Luke Wren from the Boston Red Sox. He's like, I just want to let you know, the Boston Red Sox had just selected you. And I was like, so soon? And so, because it went so quickly nowadays, it takes like days and stuff like that. Because no one really understood what the draft was and how long it takes. And he's like, yeah, no, we select you in the 19th round. And so we would love you to join. And I was like, that sounds great. And so, with the negotiations and stuff like that, I signed for $1,000. But my dad goes, he wanted a hat. So when actually the scout came and picked me up to drive me to extended spring training. So he came to my house in Sanford, Florida, gave my dad a hat, a Boston Red Sox hat. I got in the car with him, and he drove me to Fort Myers, Florida, where I started my professional career.
That's fantastic. And so you were in the minors with the Red Sox.
Yes.
And stayed there for a few years. Really thought you were going to have an opportunity with the Red Sox, right?
Yes.
And didn't quite work out that way.
No. Everything was going well. Basically, I go into my AAA season, and I was terrible. I was downright terrible. And for stories of other days, they needed to make a decision on who they keep because they were bringing back, Lou Maloney was coming back. He had played in Japan. He had come back, and they were putting him on the 40-man roster spot. And the way it was explained to me, Dan Duquette and Jimmy Williams were kind of a little bit feuding with each other. Jimmy Williams was the manager, Dan Duquette was the GM. And to get back at Jimmy Williams, they took me off the roster and kept Izzy Alcantara on because they knew Jimmy liked me. And that's how I was exposed to waivers. And when I got exposed to waivers, that means I was exposed to every other club as long as they were going to put me on their 40-man. And that's how I was claimed by the Angels.
Mm-hmm. Well, that clearly worked out pretty well for you. You would go to the Angels in 2001, and of course, if you know David's story, you know Major League Baseball history. In 2002, the Angels would go to the World Series. You had a good season in 2001, but 2002, you really took off, and you were a catalyst to that 2002 World Series team. And what was it like winning the championship for your first time, and really in your second year as a major leaguer?
To be honest, with that club, it was one of those clubs that no one really knew about. No one knew our names. And back in the day, they had the New York Yankees and stuff, and they were buying everybody. And so, to me, it was so fun. And then there's another. I have not seen the movie, so don't spoil the ending for me. But there was some movie made called Moneyball, about a team that won certain numbers in a row, I think, that year. So all the attention was on the Oakland A's. They had won 21 in a row. In that same time period as the Angels, we went 18-3. But we were a team that was just scrappy, and played every single pitch. And we played a style of an offense that put so much pressure on the defense that it forced them into mistakes. So it was one of those things that it was very fun to be part of that club, to win the wild card, to get into the playoffs, and then go into Yankee Stadium. It's still one of my favorite moments of all time. Was because of when I was a little boy, my dad's favorite team was the New York Yankees, and he took me when I was 5 years old to Yankee Stadium And I remember we had nosebleed seats, looking over. Rick Cerrone hit a home run to win. But Billy Martin was the manager, and he got thrown out that game. So it was very interesting, and to be in the postseason, standing at shortstop, playing "God Bless America," was pretty surreal. And then beating the Yankees, beating the Twins, and then having the opportunity to go into San Francisco and beat the Giants with Barry Bonds to win your first championship. I mean, it makes. They talk about like, oh my gosh, sacrifice this. I promise you, there's not a party you would miss out on. There's nothing a friend you would miss out on to have the opportunity to be standing on the field, last one standing on the field. And that moment solidified, that's what I wanted to do, and I wanted to do it again.
So at that point, you have to assume as a player, living through that experience, you just talked about the sacrifice, you're going to be an angel for life, right?
Yes, isn't that what it means, right? Team loyalty, right?
This is the man for team loyalty.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And 2 years later, you find yourself in free agency and
Right.
need a place to play, right?
Yeah, I'm actually working on more of. I did a kids book throughout in 02, then again in 06, but I'm working on more of a adult version of it and stuff like this, and I kind of write in the sense of it's like when you break up with your girlfriend, because you think it's going to be forever until she tells you that it's not you, it's me.
Should I caution you that your wife is standing right over
I know.
there talking about breaking up with girlfriends?
Yeah, she lived it with me, but when you write it, because it's
All right,
it's
so
like,
we're good on that.
oh yeah, no, she's
Okay,
totally
all right.
good. Yeah, we are totally good. Yeah, because you do like you really think you're going to be with that club the rest of your life, and you hear all the fans talk about, I just wish the players were loyal. I just wish the players were loyal, and that's one thing my parents taught me, that that's your first and foremost. Team comes first, loyalty, and so yeah, it was a little bit difficult situation, and then all of a sudden, they don't want you anymore. And actually, the words coming out of the mouths was, we did not win in 04 because of you, and we're signing Orlando Cabrera. And so I'm saying, Mr. Stoneman, so what you're telling me is that you're going to win because you're making, yes, we are, as I go. And so I said, I wish you the best of luck. And I hung up the phone. So that was our conversation.
So let's talk about the positive change that came after that.
So all of a sudden, I'm a free agent. And what people don't know, at that time, my dad was very sick. He was actually in the ICU. And so I really couldn't even talk. So he goes into the ICU, kind of let him know that I've been, basically, now I'm a free agent. The Angels do not want me back. I think it was 2 or 3 days later, I signed a 3-year deal with the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah.
And I was thrilled to death. I was so excited. And even more exciting was the fact that, my first phone call was Tony La Russa calling me up. And he's like, David, the one thing about our club is we have a very good club. So we don't need you to be anything other than yourself. And those words have stuck with me the rest of my life. And I was just so thankful, made me feel comfortable day one. He's like, we have a club that you just will not believe. And to this day, that 05 club was probably the best talented club I've ever played on.
So that's really interesting to hear, because even going back and watching video clips of you up at the plate, and how many times, and you have to be, I'm assuming you have to be tired of this, but here's the little guy. Here's, they called you just enough.
Just enough.
Those types of things. Did that ever wear on you, or did you use that as motivation? And then to hear the manager, ultimately a Hall of Fame manager, to say, we just need you to be you. Was that a change in perspective or attitude?
Yeah. Well, I definitely embraced the little guy. That's fine. You know what I mean? Yes, I am small. Yes, you got to understand, my parents were based on reality. They let me know. My dad let me know at an early age, you're not going to be the biggest, you're not going to be the fastest, you're definitely not going to be the strongest, but the one thing you can do is outwork and out-hustle everybody.
Amen.
And so that stuff didn't bug me, and I actually embraced that okay, And if you talk to Tony, the best players always play with a little bit of an edge. There's something there that really, because you're playing 162 in 180 days. So it gives you that little bit of a motivation. Okay, I'm the smallest guy here. Come on, I can compete with you. So that was something that was that you took. But coming off of the years with Anaheim, where I did not have the best range. I did not have the best arm. I had to be in the right spot, to be able to make the plays and stuff like that. So yeah, you can get a more athletic player than me. But my goal was if I touched the baseball, you're going to be out. So that's the way I was trying to play my game. And to come into a situation where Tony just goes, just be you. You got a future Hall of Famer playing to your right. He'll take care of those balls in the hole. So you don't have to worry about that. We just need you to go out and that was very comforting. Allowed me to go out there to just be myself.
So for all of the things that the Cardinals expected from you, I'm sure you really showed them. There are two moments that stand out to me. Being at the ballpark in 2005, the team, it's interesting from 2004. 2004, the team didn't start off really well. We like to think, the team was a juggernaut. They turned into a juggernaut. And for you not having been here in 04, and then to see